Hello, hello. The doc is in, and we are here with a new chapter of Tokyo Revengers. I don't know the number, so don't worry about that right now. So, coming off the last chapter, basically, the war is pretty much full set in motion. Team Toman Generation 2, we got all the members set up and everything. Everybody's pretty much on the same page about the fact that we're about to be fighting the Kanto Manji gang. And we have Takemichi getting himself together, mentally prepping for the fight and whatnot, and he's off. Mikey, he's with his new gang. We get the full selection of all the members. I would list them out, but that's going to take a second. But point is, everybody's together, and they're heading off to war, and that's going to happen this chapter. It starts this chapter. Coming into this, I'm sure at some point we're going to get a flashback. I'm not sure if we're going to get time travel. If there was going to be another time for us to go further into the past, it's going to happen during this fight. So be prepped for that. And let's just get into this chapter. Alright, so start off with a big panel of the gang comparison. Now, in the last review, I basically was like, oh, well, maybe it's just going to be headliners versus headliners type of thing. I was wrong. The full gang's here, and I believe the comparison's 50 to 500, with 50 only being on Toman's side. Now, given Toman is known for having heavy hitters, every single person being an absolute bully / Spartan, alright? They throw hands with the best of them, right? One swing kills two. So, I think this is the equivalent matchup. We get a scene of, just the looks, everybody's all shadowy and looking all serious. Toman and Kanto Manji gang are just looking at each other, and it's nice. Honestly, this chapter is just full of great panels. Every panel looks amazing. Not a lot happens, but everything looks great. And so, basically, they're Takemichi and Mikey are just looking at each other, and Chifu's basically like, dang, looking at the numbers, it's kind of crazy. And Takemichi's basically like, well, I mean, isn't this what we always do? It's always Toman with the small numbers versus overwhelming odds and coming out on top every time. And basically Chifu's like, alright, you fair, you right. Anyway, I'm gonna take out 10 people and I'm gonna put the hands on Mochi. That's the guy with the ponytail from the S62 generation. And basically we're getting like his matchup. That's gonna be his fight for this situation. And then we got Hakai basically being like, alright, well, if you're taking him, I'm taking Hatini. That's what the Hatini brothers, that's the one with the double ponytails. And basically, he's like gonna basically get revenge, not because of the fight during Tenjuku, but because of the fact that he hit Mitsuya. And I'm like, even Mitsuya mentions the fact that that's kind of like a weird reason for you to go fight him. Like, maybe I should go beat him up for that, but neither here nor there. And so Takemichi's like, oh, Senju, who are you gonna fight? And also, kind of weird how Benkei and Waka are on the other team, right? And Senju's looking all sweaty, and she's like, what happened? I mean, I can only presume maybe they were like threatened to join, as can only be my assumption. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they're just like, you know what? We like this game. This game is gonna be ruling the world. You know what? We're gonna be on that team. And they just continue to kind of point out the fact that the Kanto Manji gang is really stacked. They got bad numbers. They're basically like sizing up the competition and everything. It's just a lot of setup. And someone even asks if Toman even has a chance of winning, given it's someone on Toman who asks that. And it's Takemichi's leading the game. I mean, of course they're going to win. They're just going to pull it off. But anyway, so then Mikey's basically like, there can't be two Tomans. Now, I believe this references the fact that Kanto Manji gang still correlates to the short name of Toman. So this is still Mikey's Toman in a way. Though, I still call it Coleman because, I mean, it just fits. It just makes more sense. And it's an easy way to differentiate between the two. And so basically Mikey's like, we can't have two Tomans. We must get rid of one. And then Sanzu comes in. He's basically like, the 3DD's war happened. We came out the victor. Y'all should get to stepping, alright? And he's basically like, oh, you know, get rid of this old team, and we're not doing any more kiddie fights, you know? And like, if you guys want to make memories, go somewhere else, etc., etc. And I want to touch on this, but I'll do that after we finish the little review portion, I suppose. And so, that's all said, and then the people on Coleman are like laughing or whatever. And Takemichi's like, no, y'all people ain't Toman. Y'all ain't the real Toman, alright? And he's basically like, Toman's not supposed to be like that. I know what the real Toman looks like, and that's what's right behind me. And basically, Takemichi's like, you know what? I'm coming out for a blood. So we throwing hands today. We're gonna beat Kanto Manji Gang. Tokyo Manji Gang will stand tall once more. And if y'all think y'all can beat us, do it then. Given they say kill us, but it usually just means beat us. And basically Takemichi's like, we ain't never gonna give up. Our colors don't run. Come at us. And Takemichi even goes as far in his little speech to be like, hey, Sano Manjiro. They even call him Mikey. He's like, come at me. I'm like, whoa, Takemichi. Takemichi, remember in the beginning of the story, he wouldn't even beat up some grunt. And now look at him. He's like, I'm not only leading the charge, but I'm pulling up on the baddest in the business. And I can respect that. That's respectable. And Mikey's basically just like, bring it. And then we get the big panel of basically kind of getting like an idea of like, not the matchups, but we kind of like see the faces correlate with other people's faces, which heavily implies to me that those are going to be like the fights for this war here. And obviously they're subject to change. There's going to be mix-ups, probably. I mean, I'm not saying that we're going to like have people like switch people, like Kakai's not going to fight Hatini, and maybe Shifuyu won't fight Mochi. But I'm just saying, this is a war, and we're saying 550. There's probably going to be a lot of like doubling up and stuff. But overall, chapter great. Enjoyed myself. Thought it was a good time. Great setup. Basically hyping us up for the war, which is going to start presumably in the next chapter. Thing I wanted to point out about what Sanzu was saying about them no longer playing kiddie games. I guess you could say this is like the precipice of the dark descent that Kanto Manji Gang or Toman will go under if Takemichi's not able to stop Mikey at this point. So yeah, I thought that was just an interesting piece of analysis. Sanzu just pointing it, basically kind of like putting it out clearly, like, oh, they are thinking of this gang as like an adult gang. They're playing for keeps. You know, we're not just here beating people up, alright? If we gotta shoot somebody, we'll just shoot them. It's not no honor. We don't care about honor and throwing hands. Let's just cut to the chase. You can't block my bullets, so have fun with that type of thing. I do appreciate the point out of like what's going on with Wakasa and Benkei, because I mean, looking at them, there's like no reason why they would be on the Kanto Manji Gang. I mean, they don't seem evil, seem pretty cool. Obviously they're friends with Tokomi and Senju, so it's kind of like clearly there has to be some type of motivation that we're not seeing as to why they would decide to join Kanto Manji Gang instead of Tokyo Manji Gang. Another thing I want to point out is, touching back on that point, Senju, it seems like this was like a small setup for like her fighting Wakasa and Benkei, and maybe there might be a side change on their part, perhaps. I don't know. That or Senju's gonna have to beat them up. 1. 2, Senju's definitely, absolutely, positively, not a question, will be fighting Sanzu at some point during this war. Tokomi's not a part of the gang, as far as we know, so I don't expect him to show up. But unless Tokomi shows up to fight Sanzu and then maybe like they reconcile or whatever, I can only see Senju throwing hands with Sanzu. So that's just that. As for the matchups, besides like the two we got, Shifuyu and Hakai, maybe we could say Angry fights with Rindo. I mean, fights Rindo in addition to Hakai, and basically like they re-team up, and like this time they're able to like beat him even without using the Angry Blue Devil thing. And then obviously there's going to be a Takemichi versus Mikey thing going on. And given in the charge, we see that Mikey isn't even a part of the initial charge, kind of suggesting how like he's kind of like standing even further above this, where like he's literally the strongest. So if he goes against anybody in the initial lineup, they'll just lose outright, outside of probably Takemichi. So that is a fair point. So I'm thinking initial matchup for Takemichi probably will be based on how they're looking at each other and what's going on. Probably be Kikucho. Takemichi's gonna fight Kikucho, I believe. I feel like there's gonna be an Inupi versus Hanma vibe as well, but obviously nothing's guaranteed. We'll definitely see the matchups next week, but these are just my guesses based on like the placement of each character. Mitsuya, I'm not quite sure who he's gonna fight. Maybe he might fight with Hakai instead of Angry, since Angry and Smiley are both here and they're more of a team up than Hakai and Angry. But who knows? Once again, all subject to change. Overall, really enjoyed the chapter. Like I said before, probably give this. I enjoyed the panel, so I'll say 8 out of 10. With that being said, leave a like if you like. Leave a dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to. Comment even. The doc is out. Peace.